All right, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. This is the first in our series of 4 sessions on turning your innovation into a business. And we are I'm Heidi Edwards-Dunn with the New Hampshire Small Business Development Center, and we're very happy to partner with UNHInnovation on this project. SBDC, I'll tell you a little bit about us. We offer one-on-one business advising with the clients at no charge to businesses that are 1 person up to 500 employees. So if you need help, we can help. Or if you just have questions, we can help. And we also do webinar series like these and have e-courses on our website that are free for business owners. So definitely, check us out, get on our mailing list. We're at NH SBDC.org. We are funded through our cooperative agreement with the US SBA and an outreach program of Paul College at the University of New Hampshire, and are funded through the state as well. So that's us. I'm going to introduce you to Heather Gordon from UNHInnovation, and then she will take it from here. Thanks. Oh, I want to tell you, if you have questions, please put them in the chat and we'll do a Q&A at the end. And Heather and I will pay attention to the questions, and if something's of import, we will interrupt Julie, but mostly we'll do the Q&A at the end. Okay, thanks. Heather.
Thanks, Heidi. I'm Heather Gordon, and I'm part of the Foster Program Management team here at UNHInnovation. In September of last year, UNH won a grant from the Small Business Administration. That's part of the FAST program. And FAST stands for Federal and State Technology Partnership Program. The objective of that program is to increase SBIR and STTR grants in the state. Foster is the unique FAST program that we have developed for New Hampshire, and that stands for Focused Equity. But we recently were notified that we received a 2nd-year funding for Foster. Foster provides training and mentoring in the SBIR and STTR process to New Hampshire small businesses, which is businesses of 500 or less. We have a microgrant program that could provide funds to connect you with an SBIR expert to provide you one-on-one support through the SBIR STTR application. So that's just a little bit about the Foster program. Please feel free to reach out to me with further questions on that program. I'd be happy to talk to you and tell you more about it. So now I'll turn it over to Julie for today's program.
Hi, I'm Julie Glossner. I'm the Merrimack Valley Regional Director for the Small Business Development Center. And welcome to our program today about taking your idea and turning it into a business and getting that working on your business plan process to get you from idea to business. So I have a lot of information on my slides, so I just want to let you know we'll go over them and we will be sharing them. So if you have questions, definitely feel free to ask, and you will be provided with this information. So again, I do business advising, one-on-one business advising. We have a team here in our Merrimack Valley region with 2 other full-time business advisors and a part-time, but we have business advisors throughout the state. So if you go to our website, you need to sign up to become a client, and then you can also learn more about our programs there on our website. So let's get started. So if you have an idea and you want to start a business, do you know exactly what this business idea is and how what you will be forming? Sometimes people are doing work, but they don't really realize that they're already started to work on their business. So a business is something that's tangible. It's something someone would be willing to buy, and it's takes effort to make it formalized and make it more of a functioning unit. And so these are the kinds of things that here at the SBDC we can help you with. You usually start by getting registered and navigating what comes first, second, third. So do you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur? So an entrepreneur is someone who's willing to take risk. So you have to think about your lifestyle, where you're at, and are you willing to put in what it's going to take in order to make that business grow and be successful. So here's some things to ask yourself as you're figuring out, is business ownership right for you? Are you ready to take on leadership roles? Are you have a lot of time that you're willing to commit? Are you passionate about your idea? Do you have support around you from your family? Potentially someone can help you in the business, maybe doing bookkeeping or helping you with marketing. Are you able to control and help work with bringing it to fruition? So you need to be able to be organized enough to help bring it from your idea into concept, and that takes a lot of personal time and effort. So these are things you need to think about. And then if you've decided, yes, that you think you could do business ownership, these are some other things, characteristics that business owners need to have, right? Can you handle stress? Are you able to stay on task? Are you can you stay focused? And it's currently, there's been so much change thrown at everyone. You need to be able to deal with constant change and be able to make sure that you are able to continue moving your business forward. Another important thing for business owners is, I was at a meeting yesterday and the CEO joked around that he's the poorest CEO because he hasn't taken any money from his business in 13 years. And that's what some people do. They keep putting that money into their business instead of taking a paycheck. So can you do that? And then the other important thing is knowing when to spend money. And it's important to spend, a lot of times people will come to us and they don't want to put money, or they haven't budgeted money for marketing. That is a super important item that you need to make sure that you're paying to get expert help, unless you have that expertise in-house through either a family member or yourself. So these are just some other things to think about in business ownership. So if you've agreed to all those things, that you're ready to start your business, then it's time to start thinking about planning for your business. So these are just some things, some of it got truncated, but communication, marketing, strategy, finance is always an important, bookkeeping, keeping track of if you're making money or not. So this is something to keep in mind as you move forward. And how we talk about doing that is usually through a business plan. And so taking your idea and actually getting something down in writing to keep you more focused and to help you move forward. And maybe sometimes what you find is as you're moving forward through your planning, you might change your strategy of where you're going. So it's very important, and bankers or angel financing, or however you might get money for your business, that is an important thing that they'll want to see. So making sure you have everything thought through, and that's the purpose of planning. The business model generation or business model canvas is a good way to do it at the beginning stages. I call it the precursor to a business plan. So this is a slide that shows you how a business model canvas, what it looks like. There's 9 blocks on it. And the first one that is in the middle is where the value proposition, and that is where you think of what is your product or service that you're offering. And it could be multiple ones. And the beauty of doing something like this, it's a 1-page document, and it's meant to be done bullet points so that you can do it quickly. And then as things change, you redo it. And so there's a great 9-minute video that I highly recommend that Steve Blank has on YouTube. And he goes through this and talks about each of the blocks. And he says from a startup in a parent's basement to, corporations that are looking to start a new project, doing this business model canvas is a really good way to go about it. So I am going to spend a few minutes on this slide just to tell you a little bit about what each of the blocks are. So right here in the middle is, as we said, the value proposition. The next block to think about is customer segments. Who is your target audience and how are you reaching them? And that is the channels. Do you use social media? Is it LinkedIn? Are you doing direct mail pieces? Are you doing commercials? Whatever is the mechanism to communicate your product and service to your potential customers. The block here, customer relations, is making sure that you keep the customers you have happy and engaged so that they keep buying from you, because it's a lot easier to keep happy customers than to keep trying to get new customers. So that's something that you should think about as well. And then down at the bottom here is revenue streams. So for each product and service that you have, you should think about different revenue streams and how you're pricing. And then the other component to that is the cost that's related to those revenue streams. How much does it cost you to offer these products and services? So the key activities is what you need to do in order to produce that product or service. So for a bakery, you're going to need to have staff there actually doing the baking every day, and that in the resources, those are the items you need in order to make that product or service. So in the example of a bakery, you need a location to do your baking, you need ovens and equipment to provide that service of the products of the bakery. And then partners, who can you partner with to get the word out about your business? Sometimes people join chambers, that can be a partner. A landscaper might consider a partner where they get their supplies from, because they can refer out if somebody's doing hardscape and they buy their products from a quarry. That quarry can give the landscapers information out and help them grow their business. So this is just an overview, and it's an excellent way to go through and think about your business and then start planning. So this next spreadsheet slide is on the business plan, and that is something you do after you've been thinking through your business a little bit and doing some research. The business plan usually starts with an executive summary, which is done last. So thinking through your mission statement, your company overview, what your products and services are, who your competition is, either direct or indirect, and target marketing, pricing, and then developing your financing. So the executive summary, there's a lot on this slide. I'm not going to go through it all, but you definitely want to just highlight, it can be a page and just a couple paragraphs, really talking about, who your business is, when it was founded, is it a New Hampshire based business? Are you remote? Do you have a physical location? And what your product is. What is it creating a solution to a problem people have? And the reason you do this executive summary is so, for instance, if you're going to a bank, they need to understand what you're trying to do and know that you have a plan in place that you'll be able to make money and pay off their loan. So this is the information you're trying to capture in your executive summary. So the next slide here is on mission statement. And I was talking with a tree service recently, and we were talking about having a mission statement for his business because, he provides very high quality service and he knows what he's doing. Sometimes you hire someone and they might not have the expertise needed to do the job that's being done. So we discussed doing a little mission statement to help provide others knowing what his company is all about. So that's an important thing to keep in mind as you go forward. And here are some examples of a mission statement. And then again, overview of your business. So are you an LLC? Are you a sole proprietor or an S Corp or C Corp? How long have you been in business? Who are the managing partners? Are there more than one? If so, how much, sometimes a husband and wife are partners, and maybe she's 51% and he's 49%, so that they can say it's a woman-owned business. Again, we talked about location. If it's a brick and mortar, that's really important, how big it is. And when you're doing a business plan, you'd want to include pictures of your facility or your equipment. And then who's running the business? Do you have outside help as well as yourself and others that you hire? That's an important concept so that bankers can see that you have a well-developed team that can help you. I highly recommend outsourcing bookkeeping if you can to someone who can stay on it and give you up-to-date financial information for your business, as well as having legal advice and business advisors as well. So what is your product and service? Making sure that you understand what you're offering, your value proposition, and what makes your product different than others in the current industry that you're working with. So when somebody has, you have competitors and you're talking, trying to convince people to move away from your competitor, you need to understand all the things that they offer and what makes your stuff different so that you can use those advantages to try to get people over to buy from you instead. If you have patents, that's something important to talk about in your business plan. And again, we were talking about competition. A lot of times people will do a chart which shows different companies and services or the features of the product or service at the top. And, usually you would have all of them. And a lot of times the competitors would maybe not have all of the boxes checked. So that shows what you have that's a better advantage or differentiates your product from your competitors. So sometimes this is called a SWOT analysis as well, what your strengths and weaknesses are of your business and opportunities and threats that you might see that are out there in the industry. So it's an important thing to understand as you're trying to decide where you're going to come in to the market. So here we're talking about identifying who your target market is for your product and service. So are you a B2B? Are you B2C? Are you online only? Are you going to have a retail business? Are you, how big of the target business are you going after? So usually when people are starting, they might start within their geographic area and then grow out from there. But it depends on the type of business, obviously. If you're online only, e-commerce, then you can be, I'd still recommend staying in the United States first and getting that handled before you go internationally. We're going to talk about buyer persona quite a bit now. We're going to switch into that. And so what a buyer persona is coming up with an ideal person that would be buying your product so that you can market to that person. And it's hypothetical, but say I'm going to give an example of when a web-based business was developing a new website for up in the mountains. It was Loon. They had identified Mary was the hypothetical person. It was a soccer mom who was looking for places to go on vacation in the winter, go skiing, while she was waiting in the car with while her kids were at soccer practice. That's how detailed that they got to, so that when they came up with the design of the website, it was mobile friendly, it was attractive to her. I mean, they had her age even and her income level. And so that's the kind of detail you want to get into when you're trying to figure out who is your ideal customers. And it can be multiple personas. I know that this is not easy to see. I just wanted to show you there is a one-pager that you can do all of this on. So at the top, the first thing, I don't know, I just saw that you can't, can you not see the, I know that it's very blurry and I apologize. I'm going to switch to another sheet, but I just want to show you this Excel. So up at the top there's different personas at the top column here. The blue, oops. This is a template that is multiple pages long, and we have this available. We're happy to share that. This other one is a one-pager, and that's what I wanted to just show you the difference. But what is included on that one-pager is things like demographics, age, gender, income level, education level, interest and hobbies, geographic. Is it local customers you're targeting, regional, national, online? The next column or tab there was social platforms. How are you going to reach those people? Is it through Facebook, internet, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, WhatsApp? There's lots of choices, right? That you, and TikTok's another one. You know, nowadays B2C, a lot of people are trying to use TikTok to use it as a way to get people to buy from them. The next thing after social platforms was communication. How can you communicate with these targets that you've identified? Is it through email? Is it text? Is it, you know, website or direct mail? Or, you know, even phone? I would say that's less common these days. But so identifying demographics, what platforms, and how you're going to communicate with them for your different customer types. And you could have multiple customer types. And so that's what that one pager would show you, 3 different ones. And so then you would be marketing to those different people through different means. So now we're going to switch over to thinking about pricing for your business. So what I tell clients when they come in, definitely doing research to see what other people are charging when you're looking at your competitors, and then figuring out what it's going to cost you. And that's your cost of goods, and making sure that you identify all your costs, especially right now with so much costing more and delays in getting products to you. That might be, you know, supply chain issues that are in your part of your product. You need to make sure you understand fully the different costs. And then thinking about, are you going to price, like if you're service based, right? And you're doing it by the hour, or is it going to be a flat fee? Are you going to have a range depending on where the client is that you're working with? And if it's in-person services versus just online. So those are all important things to think about. I know next week, I think that Ed Miles is going to join at the Lunch and Learn, and he's going to be talking more about sales and projecting out, coming up with your sales forecast. So this is just giving you some food for thought. An example of a long sales cycle is in education. It's usually, in the past, they would say like 18 months in order to close a sale. So sometimes it takes a while for you to actually get income. Even though you open your business and you're starting it, you have to be ready and anticipate that it might be a while, even though you sign a contract, before you actually get paid for it. So that's an important thing to understand, and making sure that when you do contracts, you think about different ways that you can, you know, maybe take a deposit down or retainer, and then halfway through you get some more money that's helping cover your bills. Oops. So the next thing is knowing how much, again, knowing your numbers and how much things cost you. So developing monthly projections of how much things cost. So if you have rent, if you have utilities or phone bill or Wi-Fi, internet, right, hosting, all of those things that, and then including potentially marketing costs there. And if you hire an accountant or a lawyer, all those costs. Another example is liability insurance, keeping track of your monthly expenses, and then doing projections out on for the first couple of years. Banks like to see at least 2 to 3 years of projections. So that's something you need to think about. You're not going to open your doors and all of a sudden get 100 sales in the first month. So you need to be realistic when you're coming up with these projections. See what your costs are. Are you going to need to hire anyone? When do you think that would be? And projecting that cost in, and then workman's compensation and different things that will pop up. So, and then a profit and loss statement is something that will show your expenses through a certain period of time. And then a balance sheet is, as of December 31st, or, as of the end of January, your balance sheet is a point in time, whereas profit and loss is for a period of time over a year or quarter. And those are also things that banks like to see so that they can see how you're doing, where your cash is coming from, which is a different statement as well. So all of these things we have templates for, and we're happy to work with companies to develop these so that they can have a solid foundation of where their business is from the first day through projecting out for years to come. So I wanted to, again, these are our website, nhsbdc.org. And on our website, we have a lot of learning courses that you can watch. We have HR, sales, we have marketing information, customer service, how to start a business in New Hampshire. So feel free to use those resources, reach out to us. SBA is a great resource as well. They have templates for business plans. And also, for instance, when we work with someone doing a business plan, we tend to go through IBIS World. We get access to that through UNH, and that provides industry reports so that we can include that information on what's happening in an industry in a business plan. So that helps the bank understand where it's going. And that's usually for 5 years trends. So something just to keep in mind. UNH has an IBIS World license, and we can access it, or if you're part of the university system, you as well can. So thank you very much. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I know I went through it quick. I apologize.
Thank you, Julie. Does anyone have a question? You could put it in the chat, or I can make it so that we can see everybody. Julie, would you have any advice for, I'm not sure exactly where people are on the call, but because this came through the foster program, I'm assuming that many of the people here have whether it's a software app or some piece of innovation. Do you have any more specific advice for them as they think about starting their business?
So nowadays, I think if you're doing software, I think that there's so many resources online. If you've already gotten started working on your software as a service, you need to come up with pricing, and it's a lot of there's accelerators out there that can help you. There's different organizations that are out there. For instance, the New Hampshire Tech Alliance is one that works with software or tech companies. York IE is another one that they focus more on just technology companies. So in the past, you had to be physically located near an accelerator program, but now it's getting easier because of COVID, there's so much virtual. So you can join a lot of accelerators from all over the place, California, Colorado, Texas. So there are a lot of ways to get resources for your business to help you grow without even having to, go in person. So depending on the type of software, there's Techstars down in Mass and Mass Challenge, depending on the type of business you have. There are a lot of competitions, and that's a good way to start too, because then you can potentially win some money. When you're part of those programs, you get some great resources, but such as some free services like software, Microsoft, access to credits for using platforms and things like Microsoft or Azure. I think, so templates, we will send those. Heidi's saying we'll send those out if starting an Airbnb.
The links to those are in the PDF or in the slides, right? I'm not
So-
sure which templates.
Yes, there is like the marketing one. I can find that one and include that like as an appendix.
Great.
And
And
then,
also the,
oh, sorry.
I said the business model canvas will be.
Yeah. Persona ones. Yeah, I'll make sure that's a separate document. I'll send to Heidi.
And there was a question about, do we have any info as far as starting an Airbnb in New Hampshire?
So that I would suggest depends on the area that you're going to do an Airbnb. I know that, like, for instance, at the Cape, they're getting much stricter on that. So geographically checking in with the town to make sure there's no regulations against where you're going to try to put your Airbnb. And then it's just a matter of establishing a business, an LLC, probably, just because that gives you protection, putting your property into that LLC, and then keeping all your costs separate from your personal and your business. That's how you can continue to have that protection. If somebody were to try to sue you, you do an LLC to give you protection. So if you keep your cost, your expenses, and your revenue from your business separate from your personal, that is best. There is, again, the webinar, or you can sign up to become a client and we can walk you through. I have a great checklist of things to do when you're starting a business. A business readiness checklist is what we call it. And and then somebody asked about UNH services. So again, if you're a client, we can provide that information. We can go in and pull different reports. So you usually have to either be a student or a faculty or staff member. But there are public libraries that may be able to provide you some information. IBIS reports are, I had a client tell me it costs like $3,000 to $4,000 for these reports if you were to go out and buy a report. So it is a great asset that having them helps.
And Heather responded to that too, that UNHInnovation can help connect businesses to the lab and staff resources. And she put her email in the chat. So please feel free to talk to Heather. The Tech Alliance. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the Tech Alliance
Sure.
can offer?
So they do some webinars or some connections, a lot of meetups. If you go online and look at their upcoming events, they did just have a Speed Venture Summit that was last Tuesday. And that was companies applied, and those that got selected got to connected with some local New Hampshire investors as a way to try to help them raise funds for their business. So that is something that has been done annually. And this year we had it in September. In the past, it was October and November timeframe, so it was a little earlier. And they have Innovation Summit coming up. That will be in, I think, early December they're talking about. And that, I think some of it will be in person with maybe a virtual component to it as well. So as far as they have in the past done like startup fundamentals. Right now, there isn't anything scheduled until maybe next year. They're thinking of getting that going again. And then they used to do an accelerator program, which I don't think right now that there's one in the works for that. There's Tech Out and Entrepreneur of the Year. Those are kinds of events they have, and they're doing it all together with that Innovation Summit in early December.
Thank you. And the other thing that the Tech Alliance is doing is SBDC is partnering with them we are working on our cybersecurity initiative, and they are helping us to make that happen, because that is one of their something that they're way better at than we are, or have more knowledge than we do. And so we are doing a webinar series, and next month, it'll be the end of October, and I don't have the date yet, but the topic is building your cyber tool belt. And that is that session is also going to be part of this series, part of the Turning Your Innovation into a Business series. So you will get to meet someone from the Tech Alliance who will be on that webinar as well. So I'd really encourage you to watch for that. The last half of October, but we'll get the information out to you soon. So you'll see Heather and I again. Does UNH have resources that help faculty start businesses, such as finding office space, hiring CEOs and employees, and attracting funding? How much can faculty be involved in the business while still being employed at UNH?
You know,
So if you're a faculty member at UNH, I don't know that, maybe Heather, maybe you know more about this. Does UNH have resources? I know they can connect with you guys.
right. Do you guys still rent space, Heather, at UNH Innovation?
So we do have space here at UNH Innovation, but we haven't been renting it out because of COVID. We will at some point start renting that out again. I don't know the answer to the rest of that question though, as far as how much a faculty can be involved in a business. Mark would know. So if anybody wants to email me, heather.gordon@unh.edu, I can pass your questions off to Mark Eichenberger, who would probably know the answer to that question.
Yeah, and I can say, like, starting a business, we have resources here at the SBDC on, you know, hiring your first person. And I work with Mark and Heather on SBIR. And so if you're applying for an SBIR and you are a faculty member, you would have to, for instance, and that's federal grants, that you would have to become 51% in the company that you form to do that business. If there's STTR, which is more university-based, and then there's SBIR, which is more company-based funding programs. If you're in the SBIR realm, you would have to, the percentage of your time that you allocate to your business has to be at least 51%. There is how many hours, I can't even remember that right off the top of my head, but there is definitely requirements around that. But I don't know, as a faculty member, if you can have a side gig. And that was something I didn't say. I normally, a lot of times when people come, they're doing two things at one time. And so it's important to try to keep, you know, if you're getting income and you're starting your business, it's better to have something. And then when it's you're ready to switch over and become full-time at your business, that is usually an easier transition than having no income coming in at all. So is that question was like more ISIS is I-Corp in New Hampshire. What do you, Heather, do you know?
Still exists, but Heather, do you know if that's EPSCoR?
We don't know about the funding. Is that what that is?
I don't know about the funding. I know that the NHRC has gone away and those often went hand in hand, but I can't say for sure if EPSCoR is still happening or not. Sorry.
John, if you want to drop your email in the chat, we can try to research that for you.
I mean, I'm happy to include, when I send Heidi, I'm going to send you that persona. I can send like the HR, like hiring your first employee. I have information, a link on that from New Hampshire Employment Security that talks about the regulations involved when you're hiring. And then the business readiness checklist, I could include that as well.
Yep, and one of our new courses, we have a 2-part HR course on the life cycle of an employee. And the first section has a lot of information about things to think about before you hire, and are you ready to hire, and and how could you get around it? And you know, is this where your business is now? Are you ready to do this? And so I would encourage you to take a look at that. And you can find our e-courses right from our homepage, which I can drop in the chat again. Any other questions? All right, well, let me get this link here. Copy. Okay. And thank you all for coming. Remember, next week, same day, same time, we are talking about revenue generation, sales. How do you increase your sales? So please come back and join us then. Thank you.
Thanks.